Hello everyone, this week we will explore how to paint florals using watercolors. Welcome to my home studio where I share my passion for watercolor paintings. My name is Dinesh. One of my subscribers requested a floral painting tutorial a while ago. With the Mother's Day last week, I thought it would be a perfect time to share the process of creating beautiful florals in watercolor. In this video, I will show you how to look for light and shadows, create softer edges, and use layering to give your flowers a stunning 3D look. Before we dive in, be sure to hit the subscribe button to become a part of our ever-growing creative community. Now, without further ado, let's get started, everyone. These are reference we'll be using for this painting tutorial. Being said this picture was taken near exhibition place where they have a lot of flower varieties during summer. I was really inspired by Mother's Day, so I want to capture a lot of florals so I can bring it to my art market. So when doing florals, it's kind of same as any other painting we do in watercolors. We just have to simplify our shapes and capture the lighting and shadows. As for the supplies and materials, I'm using Saunders Waterford cold press 140 300 GSM 9 by 12 inches. And for the paints, I usually use Winsor professional watercolor grade, and you can use any paints you want. When it comes to sketching florals or any painting I do, I try to simplify my reference as simple as possible. For the top shape, I used a couple of ovals and circles, and for the bottom shape, I'm using a couple of circles. Being said that I'm thinking in circles, I'm also thinking about edges, and I'm going over it. And this is how I simplified the shapes for the florals so that I have a map to paint on top of it. Okay, let's apply our first wash. The first wash, I'm going to mix different kinds of green. I don't try to use one green overall because I don't want my florals to look monotonous, because that's not a good painting personally for me. So I try to mix a lot of greens, but I also, you can see that the top shape, the florals which is not bloomed, I also went a little bit of green on it, because once I apply the shadow, it separates from the background. And being said that, if I would have done this painting again, I would have took tissue paper and dabbed some of the paint from the lighting area and then the shadow area. And you can see that I'm also, since my paper is wet, I'm also mixing different greens and different colors in it. It also gives a little bit of contrast as well, and it's not like one value totally in the background. And you can see there's also a little bit of mid-tone value and a little bit of darker value, but once it dries out, it also goes lighter. And I use a hair dryer to speed down the process, to expedite the process, so I can show you guys how I can do this. But I will start from the top shape, the top floral. So first I'm mixing a little bit of a darker green, and it looks darker but it gets drier. So I paint the shadow side and I take clean water to get the edges from the bottom. So it kind of creates a gradient from top to bottom, and it also creates this three-dimensional effect on the florals. And there is also this branches which is connected to it, so I'm using burnt amber for it. So I'll be using the exact same technique for the top florals. So I'll paint a shape leaving the light, and I'll use clean water to soften the edge. So whenever I paint, I always think in this kind of terms, hard and soft edges. Even for this thing I'm painting now, I was looking the light side and the shadow side. So whenever I see a shadow side, I apply the color, and I'm also seeing the edges. Is it coming towards me or going away from me? So even for this one, you can see this. The bottom part, I'm using harsher edges, whereas the top part, I have a softer edges. And you can see just by doing that, we are able to create three-dimensional form on the florals which is sitting there. So I'm painting this as in one single shape. You can also do it as a layer, and this technique works really well for me because you don't have to go and paint again. And you can also have another darker value on top of it once you finish as well. Let's focus on the flower now. For the flower, I want to get the shadows inside. And again, it's the same thing. I'm looking at my reference, squinting my eyes, and I'm seeing, is there any white parts I could leave it as an eyelet than just painting the shadow. For the shadows, I'm using a little bit of white paint in it, and I'm using a little bit of cobalt blue. And I'm making sure that I use a lot of water because you can see the the shadows are really subtle. It's almost like transparent. So I don't fill the shape inside because I want to get those warmish tone inside the flowers, and that also create a three-dimensional form, and it also shows it's coming from inside out. So when I paint the flowers, and this is our focal point, so I want to spend more time, so I'll just layer it instead of like what we did on the top. It's the same thing again, and as you can see in this flower is completely in the shadows. So I can just go and fill it really fast, and again I want to make sure to get those the warmish tone, this yellow, and a little bit of this tinge of reddish brown in it. So I want to make sure to capture that. And my focal point is the top flower and the one which I'm painting now. And again, and you can see that just by painting shadows, I was able to create three-dimensional forms on the flowers. Again, even when I'm doing it, I'm constantly thinking about is my flower have hard edges or soft edges. And the brown, what I'm putting is a little bit red because again, I want to make this flowers a little bit vibrant. Just to make sure kills a little bit of monotonous, and it also looks lucrative on flowers as well. The same for the bottom flower as well, and this is completely facing the other side, so I also want to capture that as well. And the other one, these two flowers, I won't care about it that much because as I said, my focal point is the flower which is facing the top and which is facing at the bottom. And the rest of it at the bottom, I'm just doing some simple marks. And this is so before, when I painted, I tried to capture each individual things, everything, you know, painting each individual stuff, and I ended up overworking my florals. So later I realized that I just want to capture the essence of the flower, just painting anything else. So this is just to create more three-dimensional values on the flowers. So I'm using cobalt blue, and I'm using clean water to soften the edge. And the same thing here. So there is also a couple of layers of values sitting on each other because I want to make sure that which comes front and which goes back. And that's another way of showing flowers in a really nice arrangement. In order to show that, we have to use values. So that's what exactly I was trying to do. And you can see that the one I painted, and in the reference you could see that it is facing on the left hand side, but I made the flower facing the top, so that way it looks really nice. And there's also a couple of red spots which is at the bottom, and I'm also trying to capture that as well. And it's also really necessary when painting florals to have a different range of values. So what I mean by that, you should have the lightest light and you should have the darkest dark, and you should also have the mid-tone values. And I've seen a lot of florals which is kind of like of the same value. It doesn't create the three-dimensional form. But whenever I paint even florals, or even if I paint cityscapes, I try to create three-dimensional forms, and that's what I'm trying to do. And you can see that the values kind of dried out the florals which is on the bottom, so I'm trying to get back some of the values back. And I'm also trying to get those the separations between the petals. So I'm just trying to get rid of it by adding another value and making sure you use a lot of water to do that. And the same thing for the bottom floral as well. So now as I said in the beginning of the tutorial, as I said, when I applied the wash, I should have used tissue paper to get rid of the green from the top. So now I'm using white paint and the green to bring back more highlight because I want to separate this from the background. The other way I would have separated the background is just to make the background a little bit darker, and that also worked as well. And I also used white paint sparingly here and there, just to enhance the look, not to change everything major, just to make the highlights where the lighting is coming from, and I don't try to overdo it. So this is how the painting looks like at the end. If I want, I would have added more details, but I don't like to overwork on my florals. And I captured the light, and I also captured the florals and the flowers which need to be bloomed at the top. And now it's your turn. Take my reference or take your own reference and apply the techniques and the principles and what I've showed in this video. Thank you once again for watching this painting tutorial. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the video in the comment section below. If you have any other watercolor related topics you would like me to cover, reach out to me at watercolorimpressions@gmail.com or leave a comment down below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and be sure to hit the subscribe button to become a part of our learning community. By subscribing, you will receive weekly upload notifications and stay updated on our channel and share with your fellow artists, friends and family. And good luck with your painting, folks.